with, it is combat. So we are here to combat propaganda that we believe is detrimental to the interests of not only the Orange Democratic Movement, but the country as a whole, because of what we believe are continued attacks by enemies of the handshake on that very noble initiative. So this morning we have seen some remarks attributed to the Honorable Musalia Mudavadi in sections of the press while on his tour in the US, and we believe that we will be failing this country and our members of ODM, if we did not set the record straight and in keeping with that duty that I've spoken about under Article 5 of the Constitution of ODM, we have to combat that propaganda because it is detrimental to our interests. So this is the statement. In Kenya's political landscape, it has become tradition for Honorable Musalia Mudavadi to play safe, keep in the shadows, and hoping eternally that one day his dream of being what he calls a compromise candidate, the proverbial safe pair of hands, will materialize. This kind of politician is never known to do anything remarkable or to go out of his way to help create change. We do not want to define this as cowardice, but Kenyans can make their own judgment. It is also common for his ilk to make outlandish and totally outrageous statements to gain the ever-elusive political mileage. It is in keeping with this pattern that Mr. Mudavadi has chosen the relative safety of the USA, where he is on a visit, to make the false allegation that the handshake between His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta and His Excellency Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga was a product of blackmail, allegedly from foreign powers, whom he claims had started cancelling visas of Kenyan leaders in order to force a truce between the feuding sides in the country. It is therefore Mr. Mudavadi's contention that the handshake is weak and not founded on deeper conviction. Mr. Mudavadi himself has confessed on numerous occasions that he and his NASA co-principals only learned of the handshake through the media like all Kenyans. It is therefore surprising that he can suddenly, after landing on American soil, have details of what happened, how it happened, or for what reason. For one to understand why they had no clue that the handshake was nigh, you would need to track back to the day His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga was sworn in as the people's president. On that day, Mudavadi and his two colleagues are now known to have locked themselves in toilets or some other small safe areas, allegedly waiting for certain Nigerian magic wands to deliver them from self-imposed detention. In the US, Musalia is now saying he believed nothing good would come out of the swearing in. We wish to make it clear that it is in fact Musalia and his colleagues who succumbed to international pressure not to participate in the swearing in. These are individuals who would readily sacrifice the will and the desire of their own people in order to please their friends in foreign capitals. Visa cancellations have always been with us. Even just recently, the US ambassador spoke of denying visas to the corrupt. How come these other threats of visa cancellation have never caused any major political development on the scale of the handshake? Indeed, if any foreign powers had threatened visa sanctions, it would have been to stop or prevent the swearing in of Honorable Raila Odinga as the people's president and not to birth the handshake. It is public knowledge that sections of the international community had given a thumbs up to the two elections disputed by NASA and the ODM, and they were publicly advocating for the results to be accepted by everyone without any condition. The cowardly act of Mr. Mudavadi attempting to apply brakes on the swearing in, to quote his own words, in Homa Bay, just 3 days before the historic swearing in, and his subsequent skipping of the event ruled him out of any future deal making, including the handshake. For in peace as in war, those who stand for nothing get nothing. Immediately, Musalia boycotted the event. The trust that existed between him and Honorable Raila Odinga broke down irretrievably. Raila and ODM decided on that day to chart a new course without our so-called coalition partners. Musalia does not know what happened from there on. He was in the dark and he remains in the dark. He knows nothing about that chapter of Kenya's history and would be best advised not to parade his ignorance, especially in faraway lands. We are constrained to let Mudavadi know that his reputation as a reluctant revolutionary goes back many years, including 2002, when the democracy warriors in this country came together to defeat the KANU machine. At the last minute, he is known to have switched off his phone, possibly to wait for it to be woken up by a Nigerian line later, and disappeared from his colleagues, only to emerge later singing KANU Yajenga Inchi. In subsequent years, Mr. Mudavadi has perfected the philosophy of what he calls safe pair of hands, waiting like the proverbial hyena who waited for a man's hand to fall. We must inform Mr. Mudavadi and other enemies of the handshake that no hand from this handshake will fall for the hyena to benefit, so they must find other ways to seek relevance. The handshake between the two leaders, as they have stated repeatedly, is born of a deep desire to unite this country, to build bridges, and grow together beyond the 5-year cycle of politics and hatred. They are both committed to this and will not waver. No foreign power has the capacity to cage Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga or Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, as Mr. Mudavadi wants to suggest. We therefore, as ODM and as friends of Raila Odinga, you see Honorable Osotsi is here, we want to reiterate our commitment to the handshake and to the two leaders, Honorable Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. We want to reiterate our support to the noble effort that is the handshake, the BBI process, because it is meant to heal long-standing problems and challenges for this country and to bring our people together. That is the end of the statement. I will take questions, but before I do, I want to allow Honorable Osotsi to say something in line with what we have said here, and then we will take questions.
Thank you, members of the Fourth Estate. I am here as an ANC member